Welcome to the Christian Coach Podcast. We're so excited for you taking the time to join us. We remind you as listeners, our mission, our purpose is to serve coaches through conversation so they can lead like Jesus. So humbled, so excited to welcome in our guest. He's the head men's basketball coach up at Geneva College, Coach Jeff Santarsiero. I hope I said that right, Coach, because that is a name I'm working on.
It's close. It's Santarsiero. That's all right.
Santarsiero. Coach,
That's
how
all
are
right.
you today?
I'm doing fantastic. As you can tell by my voice, it's mid-season, so it's about that time to get some hot tea in me and some vitamin C tablets. You know the routine.
I
So
do. Well, it's mid-January towards the end, and Coach is right towards some conference play and some big games, and we'll talk about the season. But humbled for you taking the time to join us, Coach. And I'll be honest, in my phone, you are Coach S. Coach S. So, Jeff, we're excited for you to just share a little bit. And we always ask our guests our opening question. It's our power question, Coach. So I want to ask you, what does it mean to be a Christian coach?
For me, it's humbling. I think that I have a chance to share my faith in daily in a lot of ways, not only with my kids here in the program, but kids at the school. You know, Geneva is a faith-based Christian liberal arts school, and their mission is to transform society for the kingdom of Christ. And I think basketball, or athletics in general, has a really good venue to do that. But for me, it's a privilege. I get to share my life lessons with the guys. Being able to understand that in all that we do, Christ goes before us, and our actions, whether it's on the floor or off the floor, or should be try to be Christ-like. I think that's there was only one Jesus and one perfect soul, so we have energy that the way sometimes. So but it's a privilege, and I try to share it in different ways. And by that I mean maybe something happens in practice where I just want to go off the handle, and I'm going, what would Christ do in this thing? But then I also use the example when Christ tossed the tables in the temple. So I said, I'm getting temple mad right now. So you need to, and those temples, you go back and do your church history. Those tables were not light. They're like 700 pounds. So he was obviously, he might've been the first bodybuilder, so, but we just try to do life lessons and try to get them going in the right direction. So I count it a privilege.
I love it. I love Temple Mad. That's a new one for me, man. Temple Mad. I love it.
Yeah.
I love how you use the term privilege. And I've seen you in action. Met you a few years ago as you were recruiting one of my players, been to your practices and games, and I know your heart. You care about the kids, you care about the program. And like you said, that passion, emotion comes out. And we're human at times, but what a privilege it is. So thanks for sharing that. Talk real quick, Coach. Educate our listeners a little bit about Geneva, where you're at, where you're located, maybe just a little bit of background story about Geneva College, and even going back with hoops a little bit.
Yeah, Geneva College is located in Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania. Now, a lot of people might not know that name, but football people know it as the birthplace of Joe Namath. Joe Namath played his high school football games here, and occasionally comes back for various, celebrations and everything like that. But Geneva College is right off the Ohio border, right Pennsylvania-Ohio line. Christian liberal arts. I think we have over close to 43 majors. But in all we do, we integrate our faith in all what we do. Everything we teach, whether it's Bible or whether we teach chemistry, it's that's our sole mission. What a lot of people don't know, and you can't see it on the court. If I move, you can, but and I got to go the other way. It's the birthplace of college basketball. So We were the first college entity to play a game against another entity, not another institution. Kansas has but we were first to play the game. And James Naismith, his hold on, I got a team's call, so hold on. Sorry about that. I had to shut him off there. But when Birthplace College Basketball, we played the New Brighton YMCA. So James Naismith, obviously the inventor of basketball, his one of his students was one of our first athletic director, and so he started the game, and then they played the game in 1893. So we're happy about that. A lot of people don't know that, and so we try to get it out as much as we can.
Well, thank you for sharing that. A lot of history. I grew up outside of Pittsburgh, so I'm familiar with the area. I always tell people it's a great place to be from.
Yes.
So I'm enjoying Boca Raton, Florida, coaches. You've been down there visiting as well, but
you would enjoy it today. It's 4 inches of snow on the ground and about 25 degrees. So you really would enjoy it.
I love just checking my weather app and comparing a little bit. But thanks for sharing that about Geneva. Let me ask you this, Coach. Let's rewind. Let's go to a young Jeffrey, growing up, 8, 9, 10 years old. Tell us a little bit about like your background, where you were born, raised, parents, siblings, anything you want to include.
Yeah, I was born in York, PA. It's eastern part of Pennsylvania. And both had great parents. They're going on to meet the Lord, but dad was a hard worker, worked a bunch of jobs, but ended at Harley Davidson. So the Harley Davidson plant is in York. One of the Harley Davidson plants is in York. My mom was a school teacher. Both were firm believers, church going people. My dad was tough, but the nicest guy in the world. Never heard him speak ill of anybody. My mom loved everybody, worried about everybody, prayed for everybody. She was the prayer warrior in the family and the church, and both were active and just great people to emulate. My sister, I have a sister and brother. My sister still lives in Carlisle. My brother lives in Florida, in Cocoa Beach. And I'm the baby of the family. So, but I wouldn't say we were middle class. I think we were middle to lower class. I grew up in the recession, so it was one of those things, but just a really, really good family life, and learned a lot from both of them and my siblings.
Sounds like just some great roots. Family was important to you, even mom and dad, probably some mentors in your life. And we're going to get into maybe asking you some mentors you have. But Christian Coach Podcast, obviously we're given the platform opportunity to share our faith. And you mentioned mom and dad being raised by a Christian home. But when did that faith become your own, Coach? Because I think sometimes, a lot of times in our life, there's that point where this isn't mom and dad anymore. This is their faith. Now it's more internal. So when did that happen with you?
Right. I mean, I had probably 2 or 3 times in my life. I gave my life to Christ when I was a teenager. Went to like a weekend away youth retreat, like we all used to do when we were young, and just God spoke to me that I could be better. And it wasn't all about me, and knowing those things and just truly surrendering to him. And then I had some journeys through the way. And then I think what really solidified my faith was when I had a pretty good career at NIAC, and was able through just blessings from people and the Lord to travel. I went with a group called Sports Ambassadors, which it was a Christian ministry, sports ministry, started way back, and similar to FCA and a lot of the other things that are going on now. But I was able to travel to Central and South America.
Wow.
And what we would do is we would share our faith every night, and I was one of the few people that understood Spanish. So I would share my faith in the churches we were at, or the venues we were at. And but until I actually was walking around the communities, and I remember it so vividly. I was in Costa Rica, and we were going to get something to eat at a local restaurant, and I just saw people standing by garbage cans eating food,
Mm.
and that was their meal.
Wow.
And I was going to a restaurant and going to have my meal paid for, and it just spoke to my heart. And I said, I got to be better. I got to do this all in, and share my faith. And one of my favorite verses is in Proverbs. Obviously, it. Um, 3, 5, and 6, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not to your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path clear
Yeah.
and or straight, whatever version you're
Yeah.
using. And that just really spoke to me, and it just said I can be better, and it kind of changed my priorities a little bit.
Yeah.
And just said, hey, you know, this is what I mean to do. And I originally went to Nyack to be a missionary,
Mm.
and
Wow.
through the grace of the government, when you lived in Pennsylvania, you couldn't get state aid to go to a school in New York, so I had to change my major to social work.
Mm.
So that was my first lesson, and then, but I really, as I learned from my experience in Costa Rica, everything's a mission field.
Yeah.
You walk to Walmart, it's a mission field,
Yeah.
right? So I think that I'm still doing what I started out to do.
That's incredible. I appreciate you sharing that story. And I heard some of that story earlier, but just for our listeners, we remind people, we always close our show, Coach, that the mission field is right where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
And so God has ways of opening our eyes, softening our hearts. And I appreciate you sharing that. Again, we're with Coach Jeff Santarsiero. He's up at Geneva College, 27th year, Coach. And I know you started off as an assistant, but the longest tenure of a coach at Geneva, over, I believe, 350 wins there at Geneva, over probably 400 in your career, former player, former coach. But what I love is learning more about the person as well. So I know we'll get a little bit more about, the season, the highs and lows, maybe the culture of Geneva. But on your journey, Coach, on your path, and you shared some stuff, who are some role models, maybe some mentors that you had, throughout high school, throughout college, and as you kind of entered this profession, and maybe even if you remember a lesson or two these mentors or role models taught you?
Well, I think my first mentor and role model was obviously my father. I mean, he was, people didn't know this, but he was a pretty good baseball player. And my grandfather came from the homeland of Italy, and they grew up in Scranton, Pennsylvania. My grandfather was a coal miner and a preacher, self-taught preacher, and had a small little church. And but anyways, my dad was he was an athlete, very good athlete, and then as I went through, I had a couple youth group guys that were really good to me. And then obviously when I got to college, my head coach, Jerry Slocum, who became my boss, and he really mentored me as far as my not my golden years, my iffy years, as far as growing up as a college athlete and all that. And to this day, we talk probably 2 times a week. He helps us with some stuff with basketball, so we're able to share and everything. And then I had a professor named Robert Brewer at Nyack. He actually married us, my wife and I. My wife and I have been married for 41 years, and
Congratulations.
he was the smallest guy, but he had the biggest heart. But he had the best perspective of any guy I've ever known about how Christ works through us, with us, in us, and when we don't want him to.
Yeah.
And when we don't want to do something, it's kind of just like he just kind of shoves you in the back and said, you know what, you tell all your guys to do this or this and run this play and all that, and you don't want to do this. So but he was great. Like I said, he married us. But those two, and I honestly, Jim, I think our kids, I mean, our basketball kids, they mentor us. I mean, we learn stuff from them
Good.
every day. I mean, our whole part about practice is, do we get better today?
Yeah.
And as a person, you should do that. I mean, like when I figure something out with a computer, I go, hey, I got better today. So I
That's
just
good.
think I think that those people have kind of guided me in the way that I'm headed, and it's all been good.
That's probably the first time I think, Coach, that a guest shared, learning from his own kids and his own players. I think, we recognize that and understand that, but you're the first one who kind of voiced that, and it shows me you're a learner and you're a lifelong learner, and the importance of learning, and you can learn from anyone, anywhere, anytime.
Mm-hmm.
And I love asking this question, Coach. It's kind of a three-part question, but as you think about the lessons that you've learned and even sharing some, we have some younger coaches that are just getting into this profession. They're podcasts, they're tech guys, and they're learning and they're growing. They're 21, 22, right out, maybe a middle school coach, an assistant coach, maybe at the college level, an ops guy. What advice do you give, let's say, that younger coach, but then fast forward to that middle age, mid 40s, he's kind of set in his way, his program, what advice you give him? And then last but not least, the coach that sees the finish line, he's ready to retire, and he's getting ready to, hang up the whistle. So three-part question, but that young coach, middle age, and then the older coach, what advice would you give to each one of them?
Well, I mean, I think for the young coach, I think this was taught to me. You need to be a sponge. You need to take everything in.
Yeah.
You need to take everything you hear, the good, the bad, the indifferent. I mean, you need to take it in. I still at my desk, I have, let's see if I can get it here, a pad,
Yep.
pad of paper. You can't see it because of the thing. I still write stuff down.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be a journal guy, mainly for the last part of your question,
Yeah.
to maybe someday write something or whatever. But I still write stuff down. I got post-it notes all over. When I see something or do that, I write it down and I post it up, and it reminds me daily. But the young coach is, first of all, you don't know it all. You're not even
Yeah.
close.
Right.
You're not even close. And just to take it all in, ask questions. In my world, there's no stupid questions.
Yeah.
Unless it's the third time for the same question, and I cut them off.
Yeah.
But ask questions. Obviously, it goes without saying, work your tail off.
Yeah.
Go the extra mile. I think that when I first started out, I was married, and you have to going. That'll go to part 2 and part 3 of this question.
Okay.
Is the fact of your spouse has to be all in as well.
Yeah.
Because you don't see them very much, and especially early. But just asking questions, writing stuff down, be an innovator. If you feel something, be bold with. The worst you're going to hear is, I don't want to hear it, or no. Right? Do you know how many times Christ heard no?
Yeah.
And no, you can't come and preach here, or no.
Yeah.
We're doing a little and maybe this is beyond what I'm supposed to talk about, but we're doing a devotional with the guys, and we're taking the 12 disciples and talking about each one and what their role was. Is it fitting for a team or what? Sidewalk Prophets talks about come to the table in their song.
Yeah.
And it says a motley crew of misfits.
Yeah.
Right. So in basketball programs, you may have that. You may have different kids from different walks, but to the young coach, learn. The middle-aged coach, take what you learned early and refine it. Refine your craft. I still go to other schools and sit in on practices, or I'm getting plays from middle school games.
Yeah.
I also referee, not this year because I need Achilles surgery, but I would watch plays, and we run a play called Bobcat that I got from a local high school girls team. So that middle-aged coach, refine your craft. Surround yourself with good people. It's tough to get keep good people in this profession.
Yeah.
Because up and coming coaches want to up and come. They want to be at the pinnacle.
Right.
So, and then the older coach, as you say, looking at the finish line, which I probably would qualify for that. Share your lessons,
Yeah.
write stuff down. It's never about you. That can go with all three coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Like you mentioned, my wins, and I have no clue. I don't care.
Yeah.
That's not important to me. That kid being a better person when he leaves my office and this campus than when he came in, that if we can lead him to Christ or put that foundation in, that's all the victories I need.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't care about that. So the one that's near the end of their profession, I've always told people this because I get this question a lot because I'm at my time, coming to my time, and there's no set day, and everybody's asking me, and I'm just saying there's three things: the Lord, my health, and my family. That's when I'll make my decision. But the one adage that I'll close with this is, when I stop wanting to learn, then I'm done.
Yeah.
And because I've never arrived, and you never will arrive.
Yeah.
But that's the three-parter, which I made like a six-parter, so I apologize.
No, I love it, Coach. Listen, for our listeners, you need to rewind a little bit, go back about 3 minutes. I think that was the heart of the podcast right there, Coach. You gave the advice, but you shared your heart on why you do what you do. It's not about those wins we see on the scoreboard. It's so easy. We all fell into that category. Some of us are in that category, that external scoreboard, that success and that identity, the win, the loss, but it is way more than that. And Coach, that was beautiful. So I thank you for sharing that. And I would encourage you, Coach, you dabbled and said the word journal. I started journaling about 4 years ago, and it changed me. Now, my brother used to make fun of me. He says, "Oh, you got your diary." But guess who's journaling now? Him too, So the importance of getting your thoughts out. So that was so good. And again, Coach, go back 3-4 minutes, maybe rewind that, get out a piece of paper, some notes, like Coach says, write it down. You can reflect on that. Let's transition, Coach. We got a few minutes. Appreciate you taking the time again to be with us. I know it's mid-season conference play. We'll talk a little bit about your season here a little bit, but culture is this hot topic. You hear the culture of the school, the culture of the team, and the importance of culture. What's the culture at Geneva? What is your basketball culture as you've been there now 27 years, or different themes? You mentioned this Bible study, which I love, about the disciples, but what is some of your core values at Geneva?
Well, I think the word that's used a lot in culture is family. That goes without saying. We're together so much, that has to be it. You have to be a part of a family through the good, the bad, the indifferent. One of our slogans in our culture is having a relenting trust. And I think that's important. I think that the culture of making your community better. I think that obviously if you would go with any institution that's academically based or anything like that, which all are, but there's some are Ivy Leagues and all Christian Ivy Leagues and all that stuff. Obviously it's family, it's faith, family, community, and then academics. For us, very proud of every aspect of that. Our faith is about half our kids are believers, which Christian Liberal Arts Geneva doesn't have student athletes sign a statement of faith. But again, we go back to the whole mission field thing.
Yep.
That's our mission field. So that's one. Family, taking care of each other. A lot of our guys go to church together, hang out together. The community, a lot of our guys are two of our guys are in charge of FCA here, and doing stuff within the community in the school. And then academics, super proud of our guys. We've had 6 straight semesters of having a team GPA 3.0 or better.
Nice.
And basketball is a tough get because it's 2 semesters playing games. So so proud of that. So that, in a nutshell, that's but at the soul of who we are is our faith.
That's beautiful. It's a great culture, Coach. I've been a part of it. I tasted it. I touched it. I've been there. And so thanks for sharing that. And I just want to kind of piggyback. You mentioned the word relentless trust. What do you mean when you say that? Or what are you trying to come across to your kids or portray when you say relentless trust?
Well, I mean, every day we leave the locker room, it's a battle.
Mm-hmm.
So every day we leave our dorm room, it's a battle.
Yeah.
Um, so you have to have trust. You have to have a relentless trust, which means you don't care about what happens to you, but you care about what happens to the next person.
Okay.
And but you in that war that we go to, I heard this from Coach Slocum, and he probably brought it from somebody else.
Yeah.
If you're in a foxhole, you want guys with bullets around you. You
Yeah.
don't want to be the only guy having bullets,
Yeah.
right? And you want to trust that person in the foxhole. And when we talk about relenting trust, that you'll do whatever it takes to trust that person, so they in turn can trust you.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what that means. We have a sign in our locker room that the guy. It's not like kind of like Notre Dame's play like a champion
Yeah.
today and all that, but it's out of Hebrews, and it talks about relenting trust, and they tap it before they go out. So
Love it.
that's what that means.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that a little more detail. I think that's awesome. Loved hearing that. You mentioned the word family, and I'll never forget the acronym that I heard on a similar podcast. It said, family, forget about me. I love you.
Yep. Yep.
FAMIL. That's so good. So good. Well, real quick, maybe just in maybe a minute 30, just talk about the season real fast, because we're going to be running out of time and we're going to close in prayer. But you're in the PAC conference right around maybe third or fourth place. Just talk about maybe some highs, lows that you've been experiencing this 22-23 season.
Well, I mean, I think we knew we had a good team coming back. Obviously, we had the player of the year in Lyle Tipton coming back. So I think our expectations were high, and they should be. We talk about getting back to the championship game and winning this thing. And we started out real good, played a tough non-conference schedule. Went into the first semester and had a good run and came in. And then after the summer, went down to San Antonio, played two top teams down there, and got beat. We got a little banged up, and that happens. Got back and kind of been up and down a little bit. But I think we playing good defense, like I was talking to you before we went on air. But that's been the foundation of our thought process this year, is being a good defender, and then the offense will take care of ourselves. Well, 3 games we had some off shooting offensive, so it's kind of caught us a little bit. So played better the other night. Anytime you beat a rival, it's always a good night. And going in the rest of the season, we had 7 games left in the regular season, and hoping to get a stretch. Like you and I talk about all the time, you want to be playing your best basketball at the end of the season, not in the middle of the season. So hopefully that's a trend for us. We got a tough opponent coming up, and we're looking forward to the journey. But the guys are working hard and looking for good results.
Love it. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate you sharing. I'm following you guys. I'm a Tornado fan, watching you guys, praying for you, your staff, your players. Special place there at Geneva and Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania. Again, with Coach Jeff Santarsiero, Geneva College head men's basketball coach. This has been awesome, Coach. We're getting ready to close, and here's what I like to do. This is called my rapid fire. So I give you 10 quick questions. It's kind of like your favorite or yes or no. So first thing that comes to your mind, we got to do it in a minute. So, Coach, I'm putting you on the spot. You ready to move?
Like a good shooting drill.
Exactly.
Right?
You got to get that quick release.
Get your shots up, right?
That's right. All right, here we go, Coach. Number 1, your favorite snack or junk food?
Pizza.
Oh, nice. You did not hesitate on that. Your favorite restaurant?
McDonald's.
Okay. Favorite sport to play?
Golf.
Oh, nice. Favorite sport to watch?
College basketball.
There you go. Sports car, or are you going four-wheel drive truck?
Sports car.
Beach house or cabin in the woods?
Beach house.
Yes. Favorite ice cream?
Chocolate.
Nice. All right. Someone's giving you a 2-week paid vacation. Where are you taking Sue?
Oh boy, I would like to take her to Fiji, but
Oh,
we're gonna go to Italy next year. So
oh,
that would be
oh,
that.
my wife will be jealous. She wants to go to
Yeah.
Italy. All right. Favorite Bible verse? I know you shared Proverbs, so maybe we already answered that. That was a great verse.
Yeah, that's it. And then I have Second Chronicles 7:14 is the favorite of mine.
All right. And last but not least, you made it. Favorite Bible character?
Paul.
Paul. Oh, awesome.
Well,
Coach, we always,
Paul with a follow up with Job. Because I think
okay.
we all
Whew,
live Job lives.
we sure do.
Job comes up in practice. Paul was a warrior. Job was the great guy off the bench,
That's right.
so he would do anything to get minutes, but sometimes he doesn't want to agree with what the coach is saying. He wants to play more. But Job comes up a lot in practice because when they're banged up and thing, I said, let me tell you, this is what we
Yeah.
did a whole Bible study on Job
Yes.
2 years ago. So
So
they
good.
got
So,
nothing.
and that's so awesome how we just get to integrate the faith there at Geneva, and you're doing it well, Coach. I applaud you. I thank you for being with us. We always close in prayer, Coach. So I'm just going to take some time, close in prayer. Thanks for being with us, listener. Again, we remind you, we're just trying to serve you through conversation so you can lead like Jesus. Let's pray, Coach. God, I thank you for this time. Thank you for Coach spending some time with us. We thank you for the platform of this podcast to share, to encourage, to learn. Thank you for Coach's testimony, his family, what he's doing up there at Geneva College. Lord, it's getting towards the end of this season. His team, they're banged up a little bit. They're persevering. They're working hard. I pray that you reward their efforts. Let them have a great week this week as they finish up conference play, get ready for tournaments. Thank you for this time that we can talk, connect, learn more about you. We ask this all in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.